years old. I've been living in America for 17 years now. And parents and I came here in 1997. My dad had been here since 81. Um, we came here driving by car because he wanted to get a better future. It was a bit of a long drive, but 5 days, but we knew that it was a good sacrifice, to come to a better country with more opportunities and everything. Um, when my mom and I came, we only had our visas, we didn't have our papers, and my dad was already a resident. So eventually we were able to get our citizenship through him, and because of him, I've had this great future. I now have a scholarship, full merit scholarship at George Washington University. It was really meaningful, and to me as well, because I didn't know what to do at the point. Like, if I don't get a scholarship, I'm not going to college, and my dreams of being a doctor just going to be completely destroyed. But thankfully, I was able to get that scholarship, and this is exactly the reason my dad wanted us to come here. He's always been big on education. He passed last year, but he was always really big on education, and his goal for all of his kids was for all of them to do better than he did, because he didn't even go to first grade in El Salvador because at the age of 6, his parents sent him out to the fields to do work, either to take food to the rest of the workers or to help them pick up the corn or anything else that had to be done around the fields. So I'm happy that he wanted us to do better, and that he actually brought us here, following the American dream. We were able to do better. My mom, she got her GED here at Colors Rosario, and she now is working at Bush Monroe Elementary School. She's doing great, and we've gone the American dream. It took a little bit of a while, and we had to leave our country, but we're here now. This is now our country too. People say like streets paved with gold and everything. That's the image you have there, especially now that I have family still in El Salvador. Like, whenever I go visit them, they're like, "Oh, how's it there? It's like everybody rich and everything? Is everybody driving like Ferraris?" I'm like, "No, no, it's not quite like that." My dad, when he first got here into the United States in '81, he started up in the Hilton Hotel downtown as a dishwasher, and eventually moved up to be the manager of one of the buildings in Climate Management Inc. in Bethesda. So he moved pretty far for having no education whatsoever. I think he did pretty well, and he overcame the language barrier and everything. And if you just try it hard enough, you can get it. You can do it. I've been lucky in a lot of aspects. I'm the first one in college, so yeah, first generation. So that it feels good, and mostly because I hope my cousins, nieces and nephews follow along, and they also get their degrees. It would mean a lot to the family, especially since I have other cousins my age who didn't follow in the same steps. So a lot of them in El Salvador, there's so much crime and violence, so they fell victim to that. So everybody's expecting me to be the one, who makes it, the one who finally makes it. If you still have your identity from like your Hispanic American parents, then I think you should try to keep that, try to retain a little bit of that. Once a lot of Salvadoran parents get here, they're so focused on work that they forget to implement that culture into their kids. I know a lot of my cousins don't speak Spanish at all, and their parents speak Spanish, but they don't speak Spanish. And at home, the parents, they're so busy, they're never home, so the only thing the kid learns is English. And so I go to my cousin and I try to talk to him in Spanish, and he's like, "What?" I'm very proud of my culture, but I don't see myself as like Latino culture as superior. I just feel like, oh, this is what I am. This is who I am. This is what I am. I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm just saying that I'm Latino. I'm proud of the culture as it is now. Our food, our dances, our solidarity, how hardworking the people are and everything, how caring, how their hospitality and all that. That's what I'm proud of. Like I said, I'm proud of our culture, just not how the country is handling it right now. I think it's horrible right now, especially the way there's so much corruption, so much political tension, and everything, and there's the possibility of another civil war breaking out. So that I'm not proud of. And if somebody would tell me, "Hey, I'm going to El Salvador," I'd be like, "Don't go, don't go. Like right now, don't go. like enjoy it from here. We have plenty of Salvadoran restaurants here. The food is not exactly the same, but you'll get an idea. Like here's some Salvadoran music. Listen to it, enjoy it, but don't go to El Salvador right now. It's a beautiful country. Right now, it's not the place to be. My dad came here in '81. He had to cross the border. He came illegally. So a few years later, his mother died, and he couldn't even go to her funeral to see her because if he left the country, since he was illegal, he would have to cross back illegally and everything. And it was just that when you leave your country, especially if you cross over illegally, you can never go back because if you go back, you go back for good. So you leave your friends and family, you leave your kids. My dad, he already had 6 kids in El Salvador. He had to leave those 6 kids behind, and they grew up without a dad. And it's a bit of a sacrifice for the kids as well because they don't have their dad in El Salvador. So he wasn't there when they had their elementary school graduation, their high school graduation, when they had it's a Catholic community. So when they had their first communion or anything like that. So you sacrifice a lot of family when you come over here to the United States for the first time as a first generation. When we came here, we didn't have our documents; we just had our visa. I was so young, so I didn't really understand what was going on. I was like, "Oh, we don't have papers," but you don't really focus on the laws when you're a little kid. But my parents said to me like, "Oh, we can't do this," and I was like, "Why can't we go to El Salvador? Because if we go, we're not coming back because we don't have a green card. We don't have a U.S. passport. We can't get through customs and security." So that was the only thing as far as I knew, but I didn't understand the whole work and jobs and filing taxes and all that. That's so important. As a little kid, yeah, it's super confusing. Because people were telling my mom, go get your IT number so you can file taxes so that when you do get your papers, the government already know how long you've been here, blah, 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 and all this. It gets confusing because you don't know what's going on. You just follow what your parents tell you. If your parents tell you, hey, don't go here because if the police sees you, then such and such thing might happen. You don't understand as a kid. But you could feel the trouble in their minds, especially with traveling back and forth. That's what's mostly got my mom because everybody was there. So in El Salvador, so she couldn't see her family. So that's what mostly got her. And not being able to get a decent job to support the family. We weren't doing so well before the documents because it was only my dad working. So sometimes my dad would have to go to the food pantry to get food because he didn't have enough to keep up with the rent, the cars, and everything, and the food and everything, and put clothes on her back as well. But when she got her job, everything got better. Because she got her papers, she got a decent job, everything got better. After 2004, income increased. We didn't have to worry about like if the police stopped us, did we have our documents and everything. If we went to a certain government agency and they asked for certain documents, we'd be like, oh, hey, here you go. We didn't have to worry about things anymore because when you don't have your documents, you're like, if I get stopped and the IRS gets a hold of, not the IRS, the UCIS gets a hold of this, then, there's a little bit of fear. You lose that fear once you get your documents. So that's one of the privileges, no fear, and work and education.